In this video, we're going to take a look at the example that was in the functions slides at the very end. So it says write a program that calculates the volume of a right circular cylinder. The volume V of a right circular cylinder in terms of the radius of its base R and its height h is V equals pi r squared h. Declare and initialize 6 variables that contain the radii and the heights of 3 cylinders and calculate the volume of the 3 cylinders. Okay, so first, let's see here. So declare and initialize 6 variables that hold the radii and the heights. So I'm going to do radius 1 equals, and then just make up some numbers. Height 1 equals 3.2. Radius 2 equals 56.2. Radius, or height 2 rather, equals 0.1 or 23. Radius 3 equals 1.2, and height 3 equals 4.1. Okay. I'm going to call this volume cylinder. Alright, and we can run that. Just verify that everything's okay, so it looks okay. Alright, so there we've declared and initialized 6 variables that contain the radii and heights of 3 cylinders. I'm going to calculate the volume of the 3 cylinders. Alright, so volume 1, that's going to be pi. For right now, we'll just use 3.14159 times the radius squared times the height. All right, and we might as well print those out, right? Alright, and so one way, right, that you could proceed, right, is to just, and now don't do it this way, right, because I'm going to turn around and change this, but I'm just going to go through the motions, right, to make it hopefully a little easier to see that this is really not the way we should go about it. But this will work out okay, right? So we can see there that what we've done is we've done what the program asked, right? But if you notice that we are kind of repeating some stuff over and over again, this code right here that we had to do, calculating the volume and then printing the volume out, we're kind of repeating that same thing over and over again. So if you find yourself doing that, then that is a pretty good sign that maybe you just want to put that into a method, so you don't have to, you don't have to retype all the stuff like we just did. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make a method called calculate volume. And basically that part that we are repeating over and over again, this part about calculating the volume and printing out the volume, then we are going to put that in the method. And then we can just call that method anytime we want to. All right, and so I'm going to call my method calculate volume, even though we're going to calculate and print out of there. And so there's the def keyword, right? Then I've got the name of the function, and then open parentheses. And now here is where I would describe the input, right, to the function. And if we're going to calculate the volume, we need 2 things, right? We need both the radius and the height. So I'm going to have one parameter called radius for the radius, and another parameter called height for the height, right? And so now what I'm going to do is just move this code into the method. Like so. And do the calculation, and then have some message that I print out here. All right, and now what I can do to calculate these things is just call this method. All right, so to call the method, I would type its name, calculate volume. That function has two parameters, right? Radius and height. And so I would need to provide two values. Those values I'm going to provide are radius 1 and height 1. Like that. All right, so now I can take all this other code out. And then I can just put the function calls like this. And you can see we get the same functionality that we had before. Okay. So now you might say, well, you still have to do it 3 different times here. But just say, for instance, your boss comes and looks at this and says, hey, that's great so far, but really what I want is I want there to be more of a message displayed to the user here. And I want to round these values out to like 2 decimal places. The way we had it before, what we would have had to do is change, right, the statement and then copy and paste it to each place where we needed it. Now we don't have to do that. Now, right, we can just simply change the code in the method and do it that way. So if now I can customize it, the volume of a cylinder, right cylinder, with radius and we're rounded to 2 decimal places, right? Is the volume will go into this space right here is units, cubic units. And then dot format. And then we are putting the radius and the volume in there. Right, so if we had done things this way, or if we do things this way, that's way less places in which you would have to make that change. Basically only change it in one place, right? And then you have the changes that are made there. And so here you can see, right, those changes have taken effect right here. So it's a lot better to do it that way. There is one more thing I want to say here, and that is this value of pi. There's a built-in value of pi. It's in the math module. That has to be imported in Python. So you can just type import math, and instead of using the decimal value, you can just use math.py in its place. That's a little nicer doing it that way. Okay. All right, that's it on this example.